And welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Ed. Today I'm going to be talking about TTNP, Titan Pharmaceutical Incorporations, another pharma company here with a hot sector coming in as for next week. I'm going to be looking more first on a 3 months, 1 day scale, and I'm going to be assessing a little bit into my gameplay here. As you can see, I'm already in it and out already, and what could be the potential next move that could go on. So first things first, I want to look into the 3 months, 1 day. It looks like it has received a good amount of growth, an uptrend for 3 months, so that's pretty good. Now look into the 1 month, 1 day. You can see it has received a bit of a pullback. I bought previously around here, around 0.2609, and I know I did sell around 0.3, and this has ran around 0.469, but I'll show you again why I sold in a little bit. Looking at it here, the William percent R is at a bottom level that is looking good. So it's more about a bit more neutral to bottom. So that's not a red flag for me. Although the average directional index is a little bit too high, but that's not the major red flag that I'm having. This is the major red flag. The MACD is decreasing, and it has the next move is very important. As you can see, when it comes in a little bit low, it can really have a reversal. When it comes slow, it can have a reversal. So that's something to look for. Volume has dropped, but Thursday and Friday have been slow days, so that could be a bit why it's been a bit sloppy in that way. The unbalanced volume, what I can see here, there was massive dumping, then buying, and then it seems to be a bit of dumping followed by a little bit of buying, so that could be a good sign, but we have to look at it a little bit at it. So looking to the 5 days, 1 hour here. So we can see that the stock will probably see a little bit of increase in the pre-market, depending on how people feel in that sense. And then it looks like the strength of the trading for this stock has been a little bit sloppy in a sense. It has not been seeing a massive jump, except over here a little. Over here, this is a massive jump, but it seems to be a little bit of declining for people want to get out of it. So that could be a little bit of a dangerous sign, especially since this company hasn't released any significant news all the way since 18th of May. So that's another thing to be careful of. Now, when we're looking a little bit in terms of different averages, let's look into the 1 month, 1 day, and then take a look into the averages. So we can see that the 10 SMA is above 30 EMA, which is good, but it has been for quite a bit. So that's an important thing to take point off. Now, what is the current support? Stock is trading around 0.3316. I think a little bit higher in the premium, 0.335. Okay, so I'm gonna be taking about 3.335. The next pivot point is around 0.35. So that's a point where reversals happen. So in this case, it would be considered what I would call a light resistance. It means it would act a bit more like a resistance, but not as strong as resistance itself where the cap is. The next resistance here is a little bit around let's say 0.39, or around 0.40 is what I see here. Yep, around there. And the support is a little bit below. So the support, I would say, is looking a little bit bad around 0.29. So there's a bit of a drawback over there. So that's a little bit of the averages. Everything looks a little bit mixed from this point. So what I want to look at is a little bit of trend lines. Try to analyze a chart. So I've already placed these chart lines. So this is TNP again, chart lines. What I'm going to show you here is a channel. I already pre-drawn it. So on this platform, you just press channel, you try to get the supports, and then you try to get the resistances. Now, this is a massive 1 day jump that has happened here. So I ignored it because usually this is either news or this is around the March dip. So there's different factors, external catalysts that has made the stock to go outside of behavior. And again, remember when I told you I bought around 0.2609, and you can see it's sitting very close to the bottom of the channel. There was a little bit of a risk for it to go to 0.25, but I saw a good opportunity to jump at it, and I didn't see it go a little bit. So that was a good time that I bought it. As you can see in the same one day, it actually had a massive dip, and that's where I caught it. That's where the bottom tail is, right? And then I did sell it on the top around here in this major jump, although I did sell it in the middle half, not into the very top, so I lost a little bit of money, gains over there. But again, one of the most important thing in this market is not to get greedy. So while I was ahead, I was able to take that money, put it somewhere else where I still gained, and I sometimes like to keep things a little bit light and not get greedy. If I get greedy and I'm buying massive amount of shares, I've increased a lot amount of shares that, or the amount per stock that I get into compared to when I did on this. I can have difficulty selling when everyone has already bought in this stock. So that's a big thing when you're dealing with bigger numbers. So that's something you got to be very careful of. Now, looking into here, the stock price has increased above this channel line. So I kind of ignored that a little just to try to get a sense of what this channel line should have been. And what you can see is that it has fixed itself as any stock that would break that channel and is trading within this channel. So in the longer term, this looks like a nice uptrend. Of course, that's beside any catalyst or news, just based on buying habits and selling habits. That's a good news. If you're holding it, it might actually dip a little bit more, touch the bottom. You can see there's a lot of behavior here that is actually trading in the bottom half. So that's why I sold when it reached around to the bottom half, because it had a high chance of reversal. You can see that. The way you can see either is this stock drops down to the bottom half or continues to the upper half. Now, from what I've seen from before, this action could be very similar to something like this one here, where it gets a little bit of sloppiness. This has gone already. Then it can get a nice pullback. You'll get a lot of people selling that they didn't sell the first time and are scared. And then you're probably going to get a little bit of a bearish kick, and then I would imagine that it's the same movement. And as you can see, there's a W here. There's a W here, like right here. Right here. So I imagine this stock to take a little bit of a similar kind of look in the longer run. But let's look into what is there to happen in the next few. So this is the movement of the stock. Okay, so it seems that it's actually been as well again almost to the end of that W, as I was saying. So it's probably going to get a really nice pre-market tomorrow on Monday. But in the longer run, as I said, it looks a little bit sloppy in that sense. So I try to draw a little bit of trend lines. And there's a bit of a problem because of this situation here. So the first one you got to take off, if I was to ignore this line, right here, I'm just going to delete it. The trend line is going to look somewhat like this. I held it a little bit not to the top of the candlestick, but it would be very, very similar if you do it on the top of the candlestick. That it's seeing a nice uptrend, but the volatility of this stock is increasing as we go. And that could be something that I'm not very interested in, because you can literally just get it around 0.36 and drop it. So I wouldn't buy it unless I see it perhaps anything below 0.30. I would consider buying it, because as you can see from this point here, 0.30 is actually as well a support for the stock, and is actually tested that support and it bounced back. So around anything below 0.30 sounds good to me. If just looking at this chart, anything above 0.30, I wouldn't get into it, even if there's a potential for it to reach back at 0.43. There's a higher risk because it's testing right now its supports and resistance, and it's not going on a run. It's not popping up. You can see that the volume has a little bit changed, but it's picked up a little bit on here, and we have to look a little bit closer into what we're seeing in the moving average. So in the moving average here, we're going to do 3 months, 1 day. So we can see that the stock has been testing a little bit the moving average. So it is currently coming back to that moving average. Sorry, the moving average is this line here, and the signs with the purple in the middle. So it's testing that moving average. And what I expect it to do is go back to either that moving average. The moving average, of course, if it goes a little bit greener, it's going to go pulling up a little. So it's going to get into the moving average, but I don't see it. I see this jumps more of an anomaly. You can see that this stock is more trading within the moving average most of the time. And what happens usually is that it grabs it back to the moving average. Now, what about the bag holders? Well, you can see from the time around the 1st of May, it has increased the bag holders quite a lot. And when you see a decrease, it drops. So what can you see? Well, like, yeah, Ed, I see it here. People are actually still buying it more. But take a quick look into what happened here, right? Now, what we could see either an increase, or right now we're going to experience more of a massive sell-off, right? So it depends on what phase this is. What I would say here is that there's a high chance, this is my opinion based on this technical analysis, there's a high chance of a pullback that is even further than this, but there's also a good chance that we might see a little bit of green in the pre-market. But I myself, I would not even buy it unless we get massive pullback down to the point. Thank you and have a wonderful day. This has been Ed. Please make sure you comment if you want me to DD any other stocks, or even if you need some help, I'm happy to help. Have a good day and